That was one messy Sunbelt tiebreaker. And that's after we know what the bracket is. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. All right, we will get to baseball. Huge Southern Miss sweep over La Tech. We sort of saw that coming because La Tech hadn't been tested yet. And South Alabama sweeps, ULM sweeps, Arkansas State sweeps. It was a good weekend for some of the Sunbelt teams, not so good for others. We will get to that. But obviously the big news came down Friday night into Saturday morning was the Sunbelt tournament bracket and everybody trying to figure out what the tiebreakers were. All right. And it's very strange. They discussed it and still aren't 100% sure, right? Kara Richey went through it, and Kelly Damfusi, the president of Texas State, giving Kara all the credit she so richly deserves, and she's still not 100%. Matt Present, radio voice of App State, he tweeted out the tiebreaker, and what did he say? A process so convoluted that I managed to get it right, get the right outcome with the wrong procedures. All right. So a few things in this, and we will get to the bracket. Let me, you can go see what Matt Present did. He did it late Friday night into, well, probably late Friday night, as it turns out, since he was in Central Time. Let's see if we could, I did bring these up here. There we go. So that's what Matt did. I know you can't see it on the screen, but you can go tweet. You can find it on his Twitter feed. But he broke down the records of all the teams versus each other. All right, and eventually we will get to the actual bracket, which is right there. All right. So we had, as I mentioned, on Saturday's episode, and then on the on Saturday's episode, and then on the quick video. Right, we give it up to T3 Bracketology and Rocco Miller for trying, as it is very convoluted. All right, as we're not exactly sure, maybe even the Sunbelt didn't get it perfectly correct. But what I understood was, basically, you get the 6 teams, and you got to find teams that the highest teams that they played against in the standings. So we went from Troy, but not everybody played Troy. We go all the way down to the 8 and 9 seed. What's your record against Southern Miss and JMU? Seriously, that's how they determine the tiebreakers. At least that's how they started. That is a little bit off. We got 6 teams, and we're talking about how we did against these 2, which are worse than all the teams ahead of them. That's how they figured out the tiebreaker. That's problem A. B, a huge missed opportunity by the Sunbelt. If you were on social media, and I know we're all in our little bubble, but it's not just, the local basketball guys. It was the national media was focused on the Sunbelt because wrapping up it before everybody, almost before everybody else, and the bracket was going to be the first tournament bracket out Friday night, Saturday morning, and they missed it. They should have had a show to go with the reveal of the bracket. NCAA does that, but why not have that as you have a huge studio, right? One of the biggest complaints that we get with the Sunbelt Conference tournament coming up this week is Matt Stewart and company are not in the arena. They're in the studios in New Orleans, right? The Sunbelt broadcasters, it gets up to like ESPN2 or ESPNU for the championship game. Those guys are in the arena in Pensacola, right? And so you have this great studio and facilities, and you don't use it when you can. You could have even milked it for all that it's worth, all right? So you release the bracket 12:20. No, I'm sorry. Would have been 12:45 a.m. Eastern time. because it was posted, I believe, on the Sunbelt website or the Sunbelt social media at 11:45 Central Time. All right. So you could have sent out a press release. We will do a quick video, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Central, breaking down the tiebreakers and tell you how we got to where we got. What a huge missed opportunity, because that would have gotten a ton of publicity. And you could have had a great opportunity to put the Sun Belt in a positive light, because usually, sadly, it is not a positive light, right? JMU is making the college football playoff. Everyone's complaining. Well, not everybody, but so many people are complaining that JMU should not be in the playoff, or Tulane for that fact. All right. And so you got this wild and wacky potential 7-way tiebreaker, which was never really potential because Troy wasn't going to lose to ULM. And so, but now you finish with a 6-way tiebreaker in second, and you miss the opportunity to show off your tiebreaker system. And maybe it's not as convoluted as we think. Just a huge swing and miss by the Sun Belt. All right. That they really had an opportunity to be the focus of college basketball for the better of 12 to 14 hours. It doesn't sound like very long, but when was the last time they were that? Like Ron Hunter Jr. and Ron Hunter winning a ball game. I mean, JMU won a ball game a couple years ago. That's pretty good. So maybe that's when the last time they were. But that's in the middle of the NCAA tournament. They had it to themselves. All right. So I'm going to post the bracket here, and then I got to post it to where I can see it. Let's see. There we go. All right. But no way I can see that. Probably you guys can't see it either, but we can kind of go over together. I still can't see it. Okay. There we go. All right. All right. So you got Troy and Marshall, which ends up being the winner of that whole thing because they still lost and still were only the second seed. So they're not playing until Sunday. All right. So App State is the 4 seed. They're on Troy's side. Coastal Carolina, the 3 seed on Marshall's side. And Coastal Carolina, what a great win. Josh Beadle, step back jumper, maybe even with a spin move in the lane. He gets Coastal Carolina over JMU. All right. The big loser on Saturday or on Friday into Saturday was South Alabama. All right. With Marshall losing, they had a chance to get to the number 2 seed. I didn't think they were going to lose in their 4 home games. They lost twice. So they got what they deserved, as it turns out. That's nobody's fault. As far as Arkansas State is concerned, as South Alabama is 6, and Texas State, which beat App, they got to 5. But Arkansas State, they're the ones who, 11-7, tied for second, all the way down to 7th. Now, the 4-point play, as it turns out, against South Alabama is the difference between them being 7th and them being, I believe, 2nd. That's crazy. All right. And so, and then you got Southern Miss, who had a nice win against South Alabama. James Madison was hot. They're 9th. Georgia Southern, 10th. They had a big win. Not a good matchup with Marshall, apparently. And then you got Cajuns 12, Georgia State. I can't see it. Georgia State 13, Old Dominion is 11, and ULM 14. All right, so we're going to eliminate. We'll see if James Madison can win more than one game. They're going to play Southern Miss, winnable ball game if they win. All right. Southern Miss is going up against Texas State. All right, Texas State very good at home, not so good away. We'll see how that plays. All right, and then so Texas State's going to App State, and then App State, takes on Troy if that works its way out. The other way is going to be much more difficult. Okay. Arkansas State is going to have to play the winner, we'll just say, of Georgia Southern. We'll say they play Georgia Southern. Arkansas, I'll take the over in that one. Arkansas State will win that. Then can Arkansas State knock off South Alabama? They lost to them twice, but both times they probably should have won. And then Arkansas State would be playing their 3rd game in 3 days. Can they take down the 3 seed Coastal Carolina? That's where I would look for an upset. I don't think that I'm not sure they could make the run all the way to the end. I do not think is going to happen. That's just one too many ball games. But I would watch that big upset, Arkansas State over Coastal Carolina. All right. I don't think Texas State beating App is that big of an upset, but I'm not sure that's going to happen anyway. All right. I think the Troy side is much easier than the Marshall side. All right. I think Arkansas State can win a few games. South Alabama can win a few games. Coastal Carolina can win a few games. And Marshall is already at the number 2 seed. All right. So that's what I think. What do you guys think as we do this? And we'll have a pick later on before it starts. Let me get this out of here. All right. We should have Matt Stewart on Tuesday's episode. I mean, I'm probably going to pick chalk as far as Troy goes. I think Troy's probably going to win the tournament. All right. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll go on from there. All right. Again, we're hoping to have we could have some logistical issues, but we're hoping to have Matt Stewart on once he settles in New Orleans later today, and we'll have him on for Tuesday's episode. All right. Meanwhile, Southern Miss in baseball sweeps La Tech. Big series for the Golden Eagles. Number 1 in Warren Nolan's RPI. We'll talk about that next after I tell you about FanDuel and Indeed. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your needs. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. And Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people you actually fit when you're looking for skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours make 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results when you need the right person to cut through the chaos. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt. Your teams every day. Let me, before we go to the baseball, tell you about the Everydayer Club. Thank you for making Locked On Sunbelt your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live Sunbelt sports every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Sunbelt with no interruptions, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to LockedOnSunbelt.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, what a week it was. It was not a great weekend for the Sunbelt, to be honest with you, in baseball. Coastal Carolina took it on the chin. They did rebound to win Sunday to make travel somewhat bearable back home. But it was a really good weekend for the Southern Miss Golden Eagles, all right? When we started looking at who La Tech had played and they hadn't played anybody, we're kind of looking like this was going to be a series win for Southern Miss. And, after La Tech let the first game get away, the rest of the series got away. Southern Miss bullpen did not allow a run in the series. It was outstanding. All right, Friday night, Southern Miss takes them down 8-3. All right. And then Lane Burroughs goes, show up tomorrow, we'll rebound. And then on Saturday, 11-0. All right. Easy win for Southern Miss with the shutout. Well, we're going to find out what we're made of, says Lane Burroughs of La Tech. And they did find out what they made of. They lost 6-2. All right. Again, what is it with these coaches who go after their players and fans? Like Lane Burroughs is like, jump off the bandwagon if you want, but we got a bunch of good players and we work hard and we'll figure this out. All right. They may have lost to a top 10 team this season. All right. When we all look back on it and he's like, well, we lost to Southern Miss, but they're 6th in the nation. Well, they're pretty good. All right. So, settle down a little bit. Second thing is, why are you yelling at the fans? Why are you threatening the fans? I don't get it. Just say, Southern Miss is really good, and we're going to try and figure things out. Sometimes when you play good teams early, it shows you what our weaknesses are, and we got a chance to improve on those weaknesses or attempt to fix those weaknesses. So it's a weird thing. These coaches are going after their players, their fans. Nobody can come after the coaches. Crazy. All right. Having said that, after Friday night's win, Southern Miss was number 1 in Warren Nolan's RPI rankings. It's a great spot, all right, because you're going to get it here. We got one more week of out-of-conference play, and then you're going to start to get conference play. So what's going to happen is that RPI is going to come down because you're playing other RPI teams that are not particularly high, all right? So that's going to happen. And if you lose one, you're going to fall a little bit. But somewhere along the way, they're going to start talking about Southern Miss being a national seed. That talk, if it hasn't already started, is going to talk pretty soon, right? Like, forget about regional host. It's going to go through them to get to a super regional. We don't want to talk about last year. Sorry, not going to talk about last year. So that talk is going to start to happen. And obviously, as Nick Saban would say, and other people would say, rat poison, but that talk will start. All right. It's a little early now. I get it. A little early now, but a great job by Southern Miss to go into La Tech at a team that was ready for them and really not make the series very close at all. I think that was a really good job by Southern Miss. Who do they have? Let's see who. Well, Southern Miss, they have a huge ball game. Huge ball game this weekend or this week, right? They're playing Mississippi State tomorrow. They get Mississippi State at home, by the way. Not a whole lot of juice in that one. Let me see. Did Mississippi State, did they pull it off? Oh, no, they didn't. They lost to UCLA. They blew it late and then lost 8-7. That's Mississippi State's first loss. So not like they're going to be in a good mood. But again, baseball is not one of those games where you can try harder like basketball or football or hockey. You still have to stay relaxed and execute. Because if you get too pumped up, you overthrow it or swing the bad pitches type of deal. So that's a big ball game. Another great RPI chance for Southern Miss to solidify that. And who do they have? Let me see who they got this weekend. They got Lipscomb, and see, that's going to be the thing. No, that's Mississippi State. Sorry. Wrong schedule. They got North Alabama, which is they got Nichols and the North Alabama, which is better than Lipscomb, actually. Lipscomb right now is ranked 260. North Alabama is 160. Then they get Ole Miss in a week, and then they're playing Arkansas State, which who knows where they'll be. They're off to a great start as well. They got a 90 RPI, and they're off to a tremendous start. Mike Silva absolutely has the Red Wolves competing so far this year. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Let's talk about the rest of the good that was in the Sunbelt baseball. We'll add a little bit of the bad as well because it is what it is. But South Alabama and ULM had weekend sweeps as well. We'll do that right after I tell you about Robin Hood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part, live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every position with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt. I don't know why I feel like I'm dehydrated. Hasn't been that way. All right. So we talked about these good series wins like Southern Miss 2 weekends ago, Baylor, Purdue, Oregon State, right? And now La Tech, who was 12 at the time. I can't imagine La Tech has fallen that much, to be honest with you, right? They've fallen because they lost. They fell to 21. That's not bad because they're playing number one Southern Miss. Okay. On the other hand, South Alabama was playing West Georgia. West Georgia coming into today's action was 1-10. You can't lose to a West Georgia. You just can't. Even if you take 2 out of 3, it's going to hurt you down the road. As much as those wins that Southern Miss has, and that's going to help all year long. And the beating of Arkansas by Arkansas State, and Troy beat Georgia, and Georgia State beat Georgia Tech. Those things are so huge all season long. And so the same stands when you lose to a West Georgia. So South Alabama right now sitting at 141. All right. But where West Georgia sitting at 297. So they won 7-4. They run ruled them 21-6, and they eked out a 2-1 victory. A really important win on Sunday in the 9th inning. All right, they got a sac fly. I think it was Nathan Wood coming off the bench to provide the game-winning play. All right, so really important to win that ball game because that would have been hanging over their head for a long time, or all season, as it turns out. They get UAB, and now coming into South Alabama next weekend is going to be Louisiana Tech. So we're going to find out a lot about both teams, Louisiana Tech and South Alabama. Was Louisiana Tech a little bit of a fraud? How good is South Alabama? All right, and now Louisiana Tech has to do it on the road. So that's where Southern Miss is going to get bonus points for beating La Tech on the road. All right, there may be a little bit of Southern Miss rooting for La Tech, actually. I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm presuming South Alabama and Southern Miss play each other, right? Yeah, that is in Mobile, end of April. All right, so that will be a huge series, the 24th, 25th, and 26th. Okay. All right. Meanwhile, how about ULM? Ford Pemberton has the Warhawks at 8-5. They are the second hottest team in the Sun Belt. Only Southern Miss has won 10 in a row. ULM has won 6 in a row. All right. They lost 2 out of 3 last weekend in the Maestri Classic, but they beat Grambling, beat Alcorn State, and again, beat Western Illinois. And you got to beat those teams because they're sitting at 261. All right. They get a couple of games with Southeastern, and then they're playing former Sun Belt foe UTA before opening up with Texas State. So again, these are very winnable ball games. They get Southeastern is coming into Monroe. They're going to UTA. They're going to Arlington to play the Mavericks. Not quite as easy, but can you take 2 out of 3 from UTA? All right. Arkansas State had the sweep. They are off to a tremendous start. They are 90th RPI. All right. They are 9-3. I think they played Western or the Arkansas Pine Bluff. La Tech is already playing the Sun Belt. All right. They get La Tech on Tuesday and Wednesday. So on a side note, usually, and people have mentioned this, Craig Stevenson, but others have mentioned it, that usually the Sun Belt announces their football schedule somewhere around March 1st. We're waiting for La Tech to figure out their issues with Conference USA. There's a lawsuit going on. Conference USA wants more money than La Tech wants to give them. There wasn't quite enough leeway legally, and so they're trying to work it out. Obviously, Conference USA is trying to milk La Tech for more money. That's basically what it is. Okay. We do think, I saw Sean Fox, who we do hope gets better. I mean, I know he's hard-headed. There was no reason to test that theory. But he tweeted out that from his understanding, everything is going forward with Louisiana Tech playing in the Sun Belt in football in 2026, and the athletic program joining it for 26 and 27. All right, slight delay on the schedule because of that what happened. And again, we are wishing Sean Fox, who had a little bit of tumble and injured himself, so get well soon, Foxy. All right. All right. So Arkansas State is off to a tremendous start, and they're drawing some fans. They're setting records. Doesn't sound like a lot, but they're bringing in 1,200. They're talking about bringing in extra seating. What a nice problem to have. All right. They have to go. They got to play La Tech at home. Then they're going to Tulsa to play Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts 165. You're playing Little Rock, and guess who Arkansas State opens up this Sun Belt Conference play with? They're opening up against Southern Miss. Let me see where that series is, because then you're going to find out how quickly Arkansas State's going to find out if they're ready to hang with Southern Miss. And that is in Arkansas. That is in Jonesboro. So Southern Miss opening up on the road. Big series to set the tone in the Sun Belt. On the other side of things, did not go well for Coastal Carolina. They lost 2 out of 3. They lost Friday and Saturday because their 2 starters are out. They did bounce back on Sunday, which again is a nice bounce back. It makes you feel so much better winning that Sunday ball game compared to losing it. And, you know, it was a tournament, but sometimes you win the first 2 ball games and you don't feel good coming back when you lose Sunday, which is kind of strange, but I guess that's the way that it is. So maybe Coastal Carolina can turn it around. We'll see. The Cajuns had a good weekend. Forgot them. They won 2 out of 3 against UC San Diego. Andrew Herman had a 1-hitter, 117 pitches, 13 strikeouts, and they held on. They did a good job holding on. UC San Diego came back with a run in the 8th. They had 2 on and nobody out, got 1 run home. Then they had 2 on in the 9th, and they couldn't push across the tying or go-ahead run. So the Cajuns also in a good spot, RPI-wise, early on in the season. They're sitting at 14. That's impressive. Okay. App State got swept. Not great, Bob. Couple of walk-offs. They had chances to win. I think they did a good job of tying things up on Sunday, but they lost. Is it Gardner Webb? Yeah, it was Gardner Webb, who's in the top 40, but they lost 7-6 in 10 innings. They lost 11-10, and they lost 8-7 in 11 innings. Ouch. That can spiral out of control. Hopefully it does not. All right. And Marshall, I need to find this out. Well, let's go to the box score. Marshall, they had a big, they had the series win against a Butler, but they set a record for strikeouts, I believe, in that ball game. 14 strikeouts. For Collins, who didn't even finish the game. 119 pitches. So Kenyon Collins went 8 1/3 innings and set a record of 14 strikeouts. Gave up 1 run on 4 hits, a couple of walks, wild pitch, hit batter, but still pretty efficient. 119 pitches. Andrew Herman had that 117 pitch performance. So, all right. So obviously La Tech is going to be featured a lot over the next couple of weeks. Southern Miss playing Mississippi State, huge ball game on Tuesday. So we'll look forward to that. And I'm landing late and not working on Wednesday. So hopefully I can see some of that. I think it was a 7 p.m. Eastern time or maybe Central time game. So we want that crowd. Pete Taylor Field is going to be packed. And on a side note, I think I met Pete Taylor's son or grandson. Teaches at STM in Lafayette. And I met him somewhere along the way. I know where I met him. Bourbon hunting. What a shocker. But I met him this weekend. Yeah, relative of Pete Taylor. That's awesome. All right. So we got the Sun Belt Conference Tournament starting on Tuesday. All right. Off on Wednesday. By the way, the following week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Marshall baseball is coming to me. They're playing Louisville. And I just happen to be off. It's a 3 p.m. game and an 11 a.m. game. Normally, I wouldn't have a chance to see any of that outside if the game lasted more than 2.5 hours. So we're looking forward to that. All right. Also, by the way, we made it finally. 2,900 subscribers. Really appreciate that. We're looking forward to this baseball season. Basketball season is wrapping up. Again, I'm probably picking Troy. We can do the whole bracket, but I'm picking Troy to win this. I'm not sure. I think Arkansas State can do a little damage, but I'd be surprised if it's anybody but Troy standing at the end. All right, and we'll see if Sang comes back for Troy. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. All right, I'm making still one more day here in 2 more, I guess, in Baton Rouge, as we're going to see more Northeastern baseball in my Northeastern Huskies. All right, we will talk to you guys again on probably do a preview on Monday morning. All right, have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a good one.